something versus replaces?
Well, you should have used the Safe Light jingle. Safe Light repairs, light replace.
Well, I think I opened a few people's eyes to it's not really a binary decision anymore. With supply chains and technology changes, and sometimes the answer is not what you think. Which could be a whole other topic, by the way.
I'm sorry. Say what?
So that whole discussion could be a whole other topic too. Really,
it could be. Do you want to touch on it today or not?
No, some other time when we're looking for something to do.
Okay. Well, we can tease it though.
Sure.
Being in the TV business, we do a lot of teasing. An actual man says he'll never do that again. We'll have details after this.
Yeah, but if you're really teasing, it's Kurt's got a funny looking hair. Details after this. A double tease.
By the way, I went to a seminar yesterday morning on practical jokes. It was good. It's a good webinar, a good seminar. And I was glued to my chair.
I guess it wouldn't be Thursday without one of those.
Did you see the sad headline today?
No, I didn't see the sad headline today.
They're not making 12-inch rulers any longer.
Not making them any shorter either.
Nah, it took you a minute. Huh? You had to think about that.
He's a little slow sometimes in the uptake, but he'll get there.
I mean, that's less obvious than my kid chewing on the electric cords, and I had to ground him.
Yeah.
He's doing better currently.
I heard all the Columbus janitors are going on strike.
Really?
They're demanding sweeping reforms.
We're gonna run out of rim shots.
We are. We have 1 minute to quit being idiots. I guess the stream is going or will be soon, so I probably better. I'm sorry. What's that? Okay, let me go find the Facebooks and see what I can do about this. See if I can cut these streams off before any more damage is done. All right, where's the stream? There it is. There's the stream. Let's like and share. Share now. And let us also share this to the TWiRT page, This Week in Radio Tech. Boom. And finally, we will share this over to the Broadcasting Club because we love the Broadcasting Club. All right. Cam, as my guest, you will be on my left instead of on my right because you are so privileged. Yeah, you can keep working. You're fine.
Okay, when are we?
Yeah, you're fine. I mean, you can. In fact, I guess you'll.
Come on down.
I guess you'll be the first guest.
You're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
Are you more or less finished?
I can be finished. Yeah. When
Okay.
I'm done, I will come back.
Okay. Hey, it's top of the hour now. It's already a minute after. I guess we're ready to go, aren't we? Well, here, come on and be with me here, and we'll just. Oh, where are you going?
Do you want me? Do you want me to make an entrance? Come on, I don't know how this works.
No, well, normally it would just be me and Chris, but since you're here anyway, I think it'll work. Now you'll just be standing here for the first minute while Chris and I do our hellos and stuff. All right. It's time to start. It is 2 minutes after the top of the hour, so we're 2 minutes late. This is episode 616, and we'll start the show, everybody, in 3, 2. Welcome into This Week in Radio Tech, the show where we talk about everything from the microphone to the light bulb at the top of the tower, and there are some of those around here. Hi, I'm Kirk Harnack, and we're in Columbus, Ohio. I'm here with my boss, Cam Eicher. Hi, Cam. Good to see you.
Thanks, Kurt. Good to see you too. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
We don't get to see each other in person very often.
No. We usually argue on Zoom.
It is that whole remote work thing. I tell you, it's something different, isn't it?
It is. Hey, Chris Tarr is here, so let's welcome in Chris Tarr from Mukwanago. Hey, Chris. Good to see you, man.
Howdy. It sounds like you guys are having a lot of fun. I'm still here in the dungeon today after a lengthy trip. I think that we're going to talk about a little bit later on.
We are. The way today's show is going to go is we got a couple of cameo appearances from setup here in Columbus. In fact, I'm going to let Cam describe what's going on here because this is some of the things that, as radio engineers, you typically don't see if you're an attendee coming into a trade show. And we're doing what you and I have been doing for years here, setting up before the trade show.
That's exactly right. Now, there is that coveted exhibitor badge that a lot of folks want at NAB, right? Get you into the show floor early so you can see all the cranes and construction and forklifts and deal with that. Columbus is a little bit more low-key, so we're just moving a few boxes around. We've got a bunch of our vendor colleagues here setting things up, and we've been able to connect with them. It has been a long time since some of us have been back to trade shows, so quite frankly, we're excited to be here.
Trade shows, I got to go to one in China a couple times in Beijing, and you've never seen anything like a trade show in put together. The place that you'll have building after building after building full of people setting up booths, and the place looks like an unbelievable disaster until an hour before the show starts, and everything comes together. The plexiglass covers get stripped off. That plastic that peels off.
Yep, the Viz Queen and
yep. And this carpet that gets nailed down the last bit. And when they open the trade show, it looks amazing. Whereas 2 hours before, it was like, are you kidding me? We're having a trade show in here?
Well, what's exciting and crazy about those shows is they actually build the booth on site. So they will bring in pallets of plywood and 2x4s and paint and lumber and glue and adhesive, and they construct these things, and at the end they mow them down and they start all over again. There's not we're going to bring in some nice pre-made furniture and put your things on it. They will build you a custom stand right there for the trade show, and it is really a construction zone. It's something else.
In China, I've never seen so much balsa wood and super glue in the same room at the same time. Super glue is applied by 5-gallon buckets and paintbrushes
with a paint roller. Right. Yes. Right. I mean, and we've been there. And then, for those of you that, have a maybe a sensitivity to strong odors,
too bad.
You will have you're going to walk out of there pretty loopy. It's pretty crazy.
Cam, we've got a couple of people waiting in the wings who are going to be quick cameo guests on our show today. I would like to come back to you in a few minutes, reposition the camera during a commercial break, and just take a quick look at our Telos booth here and have you give us a little preview of the Telos booth. Okay.
Sounds great. Sneak peek coming right up. Okay. We'll see you guys soon.
All right. Chris Tarr is here. Chris, you want to tease a little bit about your adventure this week? You took a road trip, and not everything went according to plan.
No, a lot of things did not go to plan. We'll just say that it involves a big truck, a road rage driver, an even bigger truck, and a long, long drive to the middle of nowhere.
Oh, middle of nowhere, but there was something waiting for you there, right?
Well, of course there was. More nowhere. Oh, I mean, a transmitter.
A transmitter. All right. We're going to hear that story coming up from Chris in a few minutes. Right now, I mentioned a couple of cameo guests who are going to come in and join us. And this is Gary Rosen. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Kurt. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I have gotten to know you a little bit through the company that you run and represent, and that is
Pliant Technologies.
And most of us in radio have no idea what Pliant Technologies is. It doesn't ring a bell. Tell us about Pliant.
We manufacture wireless intercom, and we work together with your Infinity system.
Yeah.
So we always recommend it as a great product, and you guys recommend us, and it's a great marriage.
We met because the Telos makes this IP-based intercom system. It doesn't have a central matrix, and that's the big selling point of it. Your computer network is what ties stuff together. But at Telos Alliance, we don't have the technology to make wireless intercom systems, wireless systems. And yeah, sure, we could hire people to come in and do that, and multi-year project and blah blah blah. Why not just go to the experts in that? And that's what Pliant does.
It's true. There's only a few companies who do this, who distribute worldwide. It's a very special art form. I call it a little bit of alchemy. It's like radio. It's through the airwaves. Can't really see it, can't really hear it, can't really taste it, but it works.
So for those of us, and I've been in a couple of your training sessions because I do work at Telos. But tell me about your technology for wireless going out to people's headsets. What kind of frequency bands are you using? How far does it go? Can you make groups, that talk to each other? Tell me about the tech behind that.
Great. Well, a lot of people are familiar with walkie-talkies, which is really a broadcast system. You speak, many people hear you.
Yeah.
Two people try to speak, nobody hears anybody.
Oh yeah.
Right? And so what we have is much more of a conversational product, really for a group. So when people are together and they're working as a group, they need to interact. It's almost as if they're sitting at the same table talking to one another. Then more than one person can talk at a time, and you could interrupt and stop me in the middle. But we can do that over a wide area. And this is the kind of technology that, for example, the television crews will use at Super Bowl. And this is how they communicate to get the production done. So very different kind of thing. Walkie-talkies, two-way radio tends to be a distance thing. How far can you go?
Yeah.
Our stuff is actually for collaborative work for teams.
Yeah. So from an RF point of view, what kind of, do you have different frequency bands you typically work in?
We have two different frequency bands that we work in. Both they're the ISM bands, which are instrumentation, scientific, and medical, which actually is another way to say public bands. They're available for the public, license free. So we're in two different bands, similar technologies. What we do is called frequency hopping, spread spectrum, using TDMA and other things. So we have a number of layered, well-known, well-plotted engineering techniques that together make a very robust link, a very robust signal.
Now, this show is primarily aimed at radio engineers. And one of the interesting things about the company I work for, Telos Alliance, the first Telos Infinity intercom system that was installed in the U.S. was at a radio station. It was a WGN radio in Chicago. How do, now you mentioned trucks and Super Bowl, and I'm thinking, well, how might a radio broadcaster use a wireless intercom system? And I can think of several ways they would. Anytime you're doing a live remote broadcast, a sports broadcast, anything special, that radio's doing, where you need to talk to other people and coordinate them, you're gonna want.
Well, that's it. When you're doing, especially on remotes, when you've got a production team, it isn't one person. As we are now, you have a production team behind you. You've got a producer. You've got a sound guy. You might have more than one camera to do a really high-end podcast or something. So these people need to communicate, and we allow them to communicate as needed, just as if they were exactly in the same place. One could be quite a distance away. One of the real tricks of the comm world is that on an RF perspective, where your audience is used to some pretty high power, pretty big antennas, we actually are extremely low power. Our systems are either at 100 or 250 milliwatts transmission, very low power, but we get quite a bit of distance. That's an interesting frequency band, but it really goes quite far. We can get 1,000 feet or more out of just 250 milliwatts.
So I would just say, if you're a broadcast engineer, you're planning a project that where wireless communications could really help you out, part of that package should include talking to these guys at Pliant.
Absolutely. And just one other note, I've done a few articles and interviews in the last few months, and people ask, well, how have things changed since COVID? Obviously, we're all learning how to live with COVID rather than dying from it. But people are still cautious. So there was a time when you'd walk up to somebody and whisper in their ear. People aren't so happy about getting somebody to whisper in their ear now. You can now whisper in somebody's ear from a couple of 100 feet away.
Sure,
And that's a real benefit.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Gary, thank you so much, man. Have a good show. Gary's set up just down the hall from us right here. So appreciate seeing you. All right, we're live in Columbus, Ohio at a show that has a complicated name. Do I have the name of that laying around here? I thought I did. I had the piece of paper. Oh, here it is. Sorry to run off camera here. It is the Midwest Broadcast and Multimedia Technology Conference. we all have been calling it the Ohio Broadcasters Show, the OAB, Ohio Association of Broadcasters, but it has come to include a lot of multimedia. And we're setting up here. The show actually goes on tomorrow. The conference speaking is going on tomorrow. I'm presenting along with Sean Dolan about SIP telephony, and there's quite a few other topics going on, but that's what we're doing here right now. Let's hear from our friends at Nautel. Chris Tarr, you know, we both love Nautel transmitters. We recognize the great technology that's gone into them, and we both appreciate the technology roundtables that Jeff Welton and Nautel put on throughout the year. They took the month of October off so that Jeff and his colleagues can go to trade shows like this one. But starting up in November, we're going to see some more Transmission Talk Tuesdays from Nautel. There are other resources that you want to check out, though, at nautel.com. And I think I got a link here that Suncast can show us about the website. There's all kinds of how-to videos. You go to the resources, go to videos, and click on how-to, and you can see plenty of things that will help you with your Nautel transmitter. How to install, for example, if you have to replace the touchscreen monitor, you can do that. There's a video on how to do that. How you can perform various maintenance activities on your Nautel transmitter. What's the repair process? What even if you're not going to repair yourself to the component level, how can you grab the information that you need to talk to Nautel support, and they can tell you what's wrong? I've done that a couple of times. We've had a lightning hit, really blasted things, ended up taking out a Nautel amplifier pallet, and the folks at Nautel very quickly narrowed it down to exactly what was wrong and got us the right part, got us back on the air in very short order. So that's the kind of thing that Nautel can do for you, and all these how-to videos are available right there on their website. So thanks to Nautel for educating us as engineers, not only on their own products, which these how-to videos are about, but on the Transmission Talk Tuesdays with Jeff Welton. Those start back up in November. Stay tuned. We're going to have, hopefully next week, we'll have information on the very next one that they'll be planning. Thanks, Nautel, for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. All right, Chris Tarr, I would like for you to begin setting up your story about some of your exploits this past week, running out to Kansas. Tell me how this started. Why did you even need a new transmitter or a used transmitter, and how did you find out about this one?
Well, you know, it's never that we need, it's that we're always on the lookout for a good deal. You know, as you know, prices for tubes and maintaining tube transmitters isn't getting any cheaper. So we're always on the lookout for good used solid state transmitters. And this one happened to come up. And I really don't remember. It's been so long now. I don't remember where I saw this one. But it turns out it was in Colby, Kansas. And it's a 10 kilowatt solid state broadcast electronics transmitter. And it just so happens that one of our big stations here in Milwaukee has a TPO of about 8 kilowatts, and it's using a tube transmitter. So that looked like a heck of a bargain based on what they wanted for it. It turns out they also had the complete package from a station that they were LMAing that went away. They had like 400 feet of 1 5/8 feed line and 5-bay ERI antenna that's on the same frequency as one of our stations. So we decided we were just going to offer, you know, a package deal. You know, we'll take it all off your hands. So that's how it came about. However, we had to get the transmitter. Typically what I do in those situations is I get a shipping company to go out and do what's called an LTL, or less than load. And what that is basically you're paying for space on a, you know, the truck that's going to be closest to you and where, you know, that'll get it to you. It's kind of a, you know, you get it when you get it, and, you know, it's a very flexible, inexpensive way to ship things. However, because of the transmission line and the antenna, those are really kind of odd shaped things. It was going to be pretty expensive to ship the entire package to us. So I decided I was going to go out to Kansas and pick the stuff up. So that's how the story started.
All right. By the way, you have even more of an audience now. I'm here with Mary Schnelly.
Mary Schnelly.
Mary's going to be a cameo guest in a few minutes, but we want to let you continue your story. Yeah, we'll take a break in a few minutes from now. We'll continue on with
Okay.
the story. So, by the way, what part of the state is Colby, Kansas?
Uh, it's in the place that
North,
has
south, east, west?
nothing. It's actually, it's Western Kansas. So it's
Oh, it
about
is.
an hour and a
Okay.
half out of Denver. It
Oh
is.
my gosh, it's that far west. Okay.
Oh yeah. No, this is a 12 and a half hour drive. So,
Oh my gosh. Wow.
oh yeah. Yeah. So, I don't mind driving. So I was like, yeah, no problem. I'll do it. So, I measured everything out. I had them measure everything for me. And they were saying, yeah, the longest thing is like 14 feet or something. So I get set up with a 16-foot truck. Really nice. It's one of those, it's like a pickup truck with the big cube in the back. Great. That should, easy to drive, not very, ornery or anything. Great. So Sunday afternoon, I pick it up, take it home. Early Monday morning, I'm like, well, if I leave at 6 in the morning, I'll get to Colby at 6 p.m. I can eat dinner and, get to bed and pick it up the next morning. So I get up at 6 a.m., hop in the truck, start driving along, and I'm doing all right. I have my coffee and kicking back and everything. I get to the Quad Cities of Iowa, namely Davenport. So I get across the bridge from Illinois into Iowa. And keeping in mind that because it's a rental truck and everything else, they have the speed limited on it to, I believe in this was 75. So you couldn't go any faster than 75, which is not a problem for me. So I'm in the right lane and we're coming into traffic and there's a bigger truck going slower than me. I'm like, oh boy, I better, get around that and otherwise I'm going to be stuck. Knowing that I can't, pass it fast. It's going to take a little bit. So I'm trying to be courteous, make sure there's not a lot of traffic around me. So I get in the left lane and I floor it and I'm doing like 73, passing a truck doing 68. So it's taking a little bit. So I'm getting ready to pass him. All of a sudden in my rearview mirror, I see this huge semi just riding my tail. And I'm like, what are you doing? And the next thing I know, he's next to me. He swings over to the right lane and punches it. I'm like, looking at him and he's not going to make it. I mean, there's me and then there's this truck. I'm like, there's no way he's going to be able to. Well, he tried. He zipped out in front of me and clipped me off and basically ran me off the road and clipped off the passenger side mirror of the truck. So, I'm like, holy cow. Fortunately, I was awake and alert and, I knew something was probably not going to go well with this. So I was able to get off the side of the road to the left and let him through. So at this point, I get back on the road and I get behind him and I kind of, I kind of pull off to the shoulder a little bit just so I could see his rearview mirror and I flash my lights to get his attention. He slams on the brakes to the point where the trailer hops. And I, unfortunately, I wasn't like right there, but, I wasn't riding his tail or anything. So I, slowed down. He speeds up again. We get to the next exit. He literally cuts across 3 lanes of traffic, gets onto the exit ramp, and I'm looking over to get the name of the trucking company. He flips me off. I'm like, oh, what? Geez. So I call the police. I call 911, and I pull over, and they a police officer comes up, takes my information. I got the plate number and the trucking company information, and that took about 45 minutes to an hour to get that. So next I called the rental company because obviously I don't want to, get in trouble for having a broken mirror or have that on me. So, I'm like, I kind of thought, well, maybe I'll just drive to, it's just a mirror. I'll drive to Colby and I'll just let them know when I get back. I'm like, no, I should probably call them and give them the police, report information. So I call and the person on their helpline says, oh, well, you're in Davenport. We have a repair shop like 10 minutes from where you're at. I'll let them know you're coming, bring it over there. They'll change out the mirror and you'll be on your way. Like, okay, that's fair. But I said, I need you to know that I'm on the road and I'm trying to get, I still have like, 8.5 more hours to go here. I need to keep moving. Oh, no. Don't worry, sir. We're good. So I get over there and I pull it in and The guy comes out and he looks, comes back, goes back in, comes back on, says, "Yep, we don't have any of those mirrors. Let me call and see if I can get one delivered." Like, okay, know that I'm in a hurry. I need to get back on the road. Oh yeah, we understand. So I sit in the truck. An hour later, I haven't heard anything. An hour later, the guy comes back out. Yeah, we haven't heard back from our vendor yet, so I'll let you know as soon as I do. I said, I really need to get moving here. Oh yeah, we'll get something worked out. So an hour after that, I'm waiting an hour. I call the 800 number guy. I go, listen, what is going on here? I've been here now for 2 hours, and there's nothing. And the woman's like, well, really, really sorry. I'm going to call, and I'm going to see what's going on. 15 minutes later, nothing. Half an hour later, nothing. An hour later, again. So this is now the third hour. I call back again. And I said, listen, this is it. I have to go. Either fix the mirror or get me another vehicle. I need to do this now. Well, let me put you on hold for a minute. So they put me on hold. She gets on the phone. Oh, I have great news. Obviously we can't get the mirror for you, but we've got another truck. It's actually right there on site. Just walk into the front and they'll give you the keys. Great. Of course, it's been 4 hours now, but at least I'm making some progress. So I get to the front and they said, yep, here you go. It's a 22-foot rig. And I'm like, excuse me?
This is way bigger than what you had, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was driving just basically a pickup truck with a box in the back. This was an international big diesel, 22-foot air brakes, the whole 9 yards, straight truck. And I said, do you have anything smaller? I mean, I'll even take a size smaller than what I had and I'll make it fit. Nope, this is all we have. But we won't charge you for we won't upcharge you for it. You pay the same as the box truck. I'm like, I don't care about that. I don't want to drive this thing. But at this point, I have no choice. It's what there is. So I get in and it's like get into a big rig. You've got 3 steps to climb up and get into the, get into the seat. So I'm trying to drive this thing. I've never driven anything this big before. You can't pass. It does 70 on a good day with the wind behind you. It slows down going up hills, and I have a new appreciation for truck drivers because this was so frustrating. And then,
hey, Chris,
yeah,
let's see if we can keep it hanging right there.
All right,
with Chris
climbing.
Yeah, we're going to take our first break here, and I'm going to talk to Mary Schnelly for just a second, and we'll take our break, and then Chris is going to continue with this truck that he really didn't want because it was just so huge. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Kurt.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
You're in the booth right next door.
I know. I'm your neighbor.
I'll make googly eyes at you all day tomorrow, okay?
Oh, that might be bad.
So we're trade shows. Looks like they're kind of back. I mean, I heard the NAB show in New York went really well.
It was crazy.
You were there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. I gave out 200 of my cards.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
wow.
It was just nuts.
For those of you who don't know, Mary Schnelly has worked with several different broadcast distributors, and people like you and they trust you, and you tend to tell them the truth, don't you?
Oh, I tell them the truth because if you don't, it comes back and bites you.
You're working with our friends where at
Broadcast Depot.
Broadcast Depot, yeah. Yep. And a lot of folks think of them as a Latin American only distributor. I've been to their warehouse, their showroom, offices many times in Florida, just north of Miami. Mm-hmm. But you don't speak so much Spanish, do you?
No, I don't speak hardly any Spanish.
So what do you do with Broadcast Depot?
I am working the U.S. market.
Okay.
And helping them develop the U.S. market.
Good deal.
So, yeah.
So if you've dealt with Mary Schnelly all the time and you wondered where she went, she's at Broadcast Depot.
Exactly.
All right. Well, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Yeah. In fact, you used to work with my boss, Cam, didn't you?
I actually worked for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Back in the Harris days.
I'm sorry, or congratulations, or what?
No, it was good. It was good. Yeah.
I keep hearing that about people who used to work for Cam.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, we're going to run into our first commercial break here, and I think you know the folks at Broadcast Bionics, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Broadcast Bionics product?
I don't know. I guess the social media.
Yeah. They have this
Yeah.
Bionic Studio stuff
Yeah.
that they do with lots of social. So let's hear from Broadcast Bionics. We're going to be right back. We'll hear from Chris Tarr. And did he ever make it to Kansas? Did he ever get the transmitter? What did he do with all the extra space? Did he just buy the whole radio station and put it in the back of the truck? We'll find out coming up in just a minute after this from Broadcast Bionics.
Welcome to the Bionic Studio. The Bionic Studio brings all audience interaction to the fingertips of a production team in radio, TV and podcast. Our workflow-led system is working 24/7 around the world for small broadcasters and national and international networks. Our telephony module, Bionic Talk Show, allows cost-effective centralization, remote operation, scalability and resilience across an entire network of stations, but at the same time is used in single studio self-op environments. Social media curation and activity is now considered a broadcast critical part of programming. Bionic Social means the studio isn't overwhelmed with a wall of interaction from an ever-growing number of social platforms. We combine SMS, MMS and email together with a speech-to-text service for listeners using smart speakers. We enable studio teams to curate, filter and display all platforms in one place and post text, images and video content to multiple platforms in one operation. Effortless collection of video content with Bionic Director has helped position some of the world's most successful stations as leaders in viral content, generating appointments to listen and free marketing via retweets and shares. Bionic Contest enables end-to-end tracking of on-air competitions, live reads and prizes. These could be on-air contests, automated SMS entry or online. Anywhere, and Skype TX for Radio brings high-quality audio and video contribution into the studio with ease. No need for dedicated PCs to run different applications. Everything is controlled within the Bionic Studio UI, and incoming connections are visible to users along with all other platforms. Our codec integration enables connection, algorithm configuration, and directory to a wide range of IP and ISDN codecs. The Bionic Studio, a unique suite of products designed to enable your talent to work smarter.
Broadcast Bionics at bionics.co.uk or bionic.radio. Thanks a lot, Broadcast Bionics, for sponsoring this week in Radio Tech. Hey, I'm Kirk Harnack. We're here setting up at the what used to be called the Ohio Association of Broadcasters show. Now it's, and it has been for a few years, the Midwest Broadcast and Multimedia Technology Conference. Actually, we have engineers from several states who are joining in here. The state of Indiana decided to coordinate with Ohio, and the state of Kentucky coordinates with this show for engineers to come in and enjoy good speakers and a good expo here at the conference. All right. We're talking to Chris Tarr, and Chris has this pretty amazing story full of daring do and accidents and mirror getting torn off the truck. And Chris, why don't you pick it up from there? You still are, you're just a few hours out of town at this point, right?
Oh yeah, no, I'm a few hours out of town, but probably 6 or 7 hours into the trip. So tell you how that's going. So last we left, I got this shiny new big rig that I needed to quickly learn how to drive and manage. Unwieldy 22-foot guy. So I'm back on the road. Now, keeping in mind, I left at 6 a.m. I wanted to be in Kansas at 6 p.m. or a little bit thereafter. I hit Davenport, Iowa at close to 9:30 or 10. I didn't leave until after 1. So already it's like, okay, this is bad. So get on the road, and the seat of this truck, it's got, you kind of see them in buses and on some big rigs sometimes. It sits on an air-filled bladder and kind of as a cushion, and you can increase and decrease the pressure, but basically it's kind of like a bouncy chair. So when you go over bumps, you kind of bounce. Problem is when you go over a huge... What's that?
A sleep number bed. It's kind of like a sleep number bed, right? You dial in the number that you want.
a little bouncier. It's a rubber bladder, and you bounce along. The problem is when you hit a big bump, you really bounce. And I was all worried because I'm like, I'm going to hit something. Because a couple times I was like, come out of my seat. I'm like, I'm going to hit a bump and I'm going to fly up and hit my head on the ceiling of the cab. Well, I shouldn't have worried because what happens is the steering wheel stops my crotch. So that was a good part of my drive, was having my crotch thrust into the steering wheel over every bump. So I learned to kind of hunker down whenever I got to a bump, so I'd stay in my chair.
Secrets of over the road truckers discovered.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Woo-wee. So there I am. I'm driving now. Again, it's trucking. It's about 10 miles to the gallon. It's got a big tank, not a huge tank. So I'm stopping every so often to put gas in. Here's the other problem with this is when you go to a gas station and you use a credit card, they pre-authorize your card for a certain amount, $150, $175. That doesn't fill this tank. So I have to stop, more often because I can't fill the tank. I get it as full as I can and then it shuts off and, I could try to do it again, but I get on the road and head down there. So, $150 a pop at the gas stations. So I'm driving along. I finally get into Colby, Kansas. It is after midnight. Now, I planned to be there at 6. It was after midnight when I actually pulled into the hotel. So I get everything out. I get checked in. I go to bed. I'm meeting the people at the station at the transmitter site the next morning at 9. So I get up, get checked out, get into the truck. I head out there, meet the people. They are just the nicest people I've ever met. They, the facilities guy, I let him know. I said, I'm not going to have I'm not going to have a lift gate. So I'm going to need, if you can set me up, I'll hire people. I'm going to need some bodies to move and I'm going to need a skid steer and some other things. And I said, I could hire a moving company or something. He said, no. I'll tell you what it's going to cost, but I'll arrange it. So I showed up and he had 4 kids from the local junior college athletes. And I guess there's a place in town there that, he deals with that rents skid steers. And he had that stuff loaded up in about 10 minutes, he and the kids. So, I slipped the students some drinking money and I squared up with the rental place, but just the nicest people. That was probably the best part of the trip was meeting them. They got everything loaded in so quickly and I was on my way by 10 o'clock, within an hour. And we had bought a transmitter, some transmission line, the antenna bays, all that stuff right at, they were just sitting in the transmitter building. So I hop in and fortunately the trip home was pretty uneventful. I got home, it was close to midnight because again, this truck barely does 70. So, what should have been a 12-hour drive was more like 13 and a half. So I get home and that adventure's over, but I still have a truck outside in front of my house with a transmitter and a bunch of stuff in it. So then we go on to, do we have time to go into step 2 of this project or do we need to take a break?
Hey, we'll tell you what, let's talk to somebody else right here. Look who I found.
Hey,
hi, John Lynch.
look at that.
Hi, John Lynch.
Hello there. You know how far back we go?
You and me?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
There was a time when
were you that kid in kindergarten? You were.
No, I wasn't that kid. Well, kind of like, sorry, but no. There was a time when you and I did not have the same hair color.
What was your hair color before it turned gray?
Reddish.
Oh, well, mine was brownish.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So that's when we did.
But I'm just saying, this was some time ago.
I
yes.
think we turned gray about the same time, didn't we?
Just about. Of course, I delayed mine when I was still doing stuff on stage.
Me too.
And then when I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore, threw the box away. 3 weeks later, here's what I look like. So
there you go. So people know you, John Lynch, from Broadcast Supply West, now Broadcast Supply Worldwide for many years.
As a matter of fact, I was at both.
Yeah.
Because when I joined the company 30 years ago, it was West. And then the next year in our 20th anniversary, In 1993, we changed the W from West to Worldwide, and next year, our 50th anniversary for BSW.
Now, on the one hand, I know you help broadcast engineers all the time pick the right broadcast gear, help them know what's in stock, what's not, what's popular, what's the best price they can get, all that kind of thing at BSW. But I'm also curious about your broadcasting career. If you could tell us for just a minute, you've had something to do with amazing power boats and telling people about that.
Well, I started off, always wanted to be a sportscaster.
Okay.
And I was inspired in Seattle by a sport called unlimited hydroplane racing.
Okay.
Which was huge in Seattle because back when I was, yay high, we didn't have the Mariners or the Seahawks or the Supersonics, which we don't have again. But that's another story.
Okay.
Anyway, so that was our sport. We had hydroplane racing in the summer. We had Washington Husky football in the fall. That was it.
Okay.
So it would take up our entire week when they were there. And so it was we used to build our own little hydroplanes and tow them behind our bicycles and things like that. But it was, the whole area was really into that. Well, that inspired me to get into sportscasting, which I did all the usual sports, but did some of the ones that not very many people do, like hydros, like indoor soccer, things like that. So, but had a really good opportunity there. Actually was able to do some while after I joined BSW as well. So, matter of fact, Seattle Sea Dogs, 1995 to 1997. 97, Continental Indoor Soccer League, national champions.
Yeah.
I got the ring to prove it.
Yeah.
After the game was over, 6 weeks later, the entire league folded, and there was that deal. But that's okay. But it was fun. But I enjoyed that. But it's what's happened for me over the years with BSW, now over the decades, is because of my involvement in sportscasting, and because a lot of people know that, they call me because they know I know what they need. Enjoy that a lot, that I can help them. What's going on?
So let me ask you one question before we.
Sure.
Chris,
we got to get back to
if
that story.
If there's are there different headsets that are best for different sports?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, one of this, the ones with the big ears aren't that popular in Texas for baseball in the summer.
Well, okay.
They get a little warm,
Okay.
And so, and some are better attuned to television and radio, so they got the smaller ear cups and things. Of course, nowadays there's an awful lot going on with the little, ear types, and then you add little earbuds to it, so that way it's less visible on the camera. So just depends on the
situation.
Speaking
of the Countryman style?
Yeah, that style, exactly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, and that's very popular. So, it shocked me when they first came out from different companies that something that small could sound that good, but they do.
If you're in a really noisy environment, though, like a basketball arena, and the crowd is crazy, there's all kinds of noise around you, what kind of microphone do you need on your headset? I mean, I know there's noise canceling, but are there different qualities of noise canceling?
Well, there are. One of the biggest things, though, is if you get something that's too tight, then the sound isn't as good as then it cuts down. So most of the time I stay away from trying to get like the hypercardioid and the supercardioid types. Go with a cardioid. That's what most headsets are done.
Okay.
But when you're in a really loud environment, and this goes back to when I was on the air in another century, doing high school games in a small gym sitting next to the tuba player. What you do is you turn down the microphone, you turn up the earphones so you can still hear without having to shout into it, and eat the microphone. Get really, really close. So that way it cuts down a lot on the background noise.
Exactly. You get that ratio of desired audio.
Yes.
Desired audio to undesired audio. you maximize that ratio.
Yeah, and it's just it's a technique thing. And that hasn't changed in 50 years since I've been doing this. Not 50 years always with BSW, but from when I first started in radio back in the 70s. So, but having that experience and then adapting it to the people that I work with today. And one of the great things about not being an engineer, and all of my engineer customers know this, so they know, don't get too technical with Lynch, just get a practical application and you'll be fine. There's a standard question I get asked with a standard answer. How's it work? Works real good. There's your technical answer. You want to know more? You're the factory guy. There's the factory guy. Because I don't want to insult the engineers by trying to be what they are. They're there for a reason, and they're far too what's the word I'd say, unappreciated in broadcasting. And so, I say, hey, these are things that we found that can work for you guys, and they do. And then I hear from them, but I don't get into the technicals because I don't understand a lot of that.
But you know what works and what does, because you get feedback from people.
Right, exactly.
And you've done this yourself.
Well, yeah, and that's helped, but that's part of the fun. And then I started doing this like you're doing with this show. We started doing the BSW Tech Dive shows, which is fun for me because that's kind of getting me back into the broadcast environment. And then we did a show recently that just got posted, our latest one, which features and you remember the HDV mixer, the visual radio system, and the AirLink for bringing in guests. Well, we talked about how that product is developed over the last several years and said, hey, we had the one time when we tried a remote and it was a hydroplane race. Here comes a shot of that hydroplane race remote we did and things like that. So we just have some fun with that one. And it's enjoyable for me to have a good time like that.
I'm glad you have a good time, and you have a good time here at these shows.
Yes.
We're all setting up today. You're done setting up, huh?
No, I always have a little bit because my guest in the booth just showed up. So we're adapting things around. But that's, I'm always the last one ready and the last one to leave. That's been a consistent pattern for me at these shows, but they're really helpful because you get to interact directly with the engineers and others that come to these. So I'm always glad to be able to do it. But I want to hear Chris's story, the rest of it too.
We'll do that. John, thank you so much for joining us.
With you anytime.
Always good to see you.
Chris, good to see you.
Hey, we got a couple of announcements to make here on behalf of a couple of our sponsors. And Chris, one of those is Angry Audio. And this is, John Lynch was mentioning, crank up the headphone volume and eat the microphone, and that'll do a couple of good things for your sports broadcast in a noisy environment. Well, here is a great headphone amp to be cranking up. This is the Angry Audio Headphone Gizmo. And look, it can be powered by, a wall wart that plugs in the back. It can also be powered daisy chain style with the Studio Hub interconnect. And that's just a Cat5 cable interconnecting one to another. It carries left and right audio, and it carries power, plus and minus 15 volts, to power this thing to a good, strong volume. And this will take both kinds of headphones jacks, 1/4 inch and 3.5 millimeter. And then also Angry Audio, of course, features these adapters, these wonderful adapters. And I just realized Chris Tarr is with us. Chris, you probably have something good to say about Angry Audio yourself. Why don't you take it away for a minute?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things you were showing with the headphone amplifier is, if you notice, everything is rounded. So you're not swinging your legs around underneath the countertop, getting your leg cut on those sharp corners, which does happen. And also they've got been following their new C-level processing product, and the Facebooks are abuzz about it. And as a matter of fact, I'll say this now because it's new news. I just bought 25 of them for our entire group. So that's one of the great things coming out. But the one of the things I love about Angry Audio is that they come up with some of the most elegant solutions. And I was just doing an SPE presentation today called Repair or Replace, and I think we're going to talk about that in an episode of TWiRT coming up soon. But kind of deciding, when to repair, when to replace. And one of the things I always talked about was, so many times we try to kludge together these, these solutions, and they turn out to just not be elegant. Not only are we not saving money because we spent a bunch of money on, on drawer parts and toolbox parts, but the solution that we end up ultimately coming up with is not that great. Angry Audio has designed and developed these solutions that help you every day, very inexpensively and very elegantly. For example, that headphone amplifier, you just mount it right under your countertop and you plug it into daisy chain some power to it, and you're done. That's it. It's as simple as that. So, we're busy enough as engineers in the trenches. So when you come up with a problem like that, don't worry about it. Just get Angry Audio. You can check them out online on their website at angryaudio.com, or you can also buy them from your favorite dealer like Broadcasters General Store.
Hey, Chris, you do such a great job, and I'm going to ask you to do one more job for me. And you mentioned something this week on the Facebooks about Max Connect wireless. See, like this one right
yeah.
here. I used one of these at at a station that I work with a couple weekends ago when their Lightning took out their Comcast cable. What have you been doing with Max Connect wireless?
What haven't I been doing with Max Connect Wireless? Excuse me. So I started out with one a long time ago, and I'm using that as an STL for a station that I cannot get internet or a microwave link to. Then I bought a second one, and that second one I bought to just be a spare, no problem. Just have one in the toolbox. What ends up, we bought a station up north, and I needed a backup internet solution, so that's where that one went. I'm like, well, now I've got two out. I need a third because I still need a spare. So I bought a third one just recently, and all of a sudden I've deployed that now as well. As part of the story, we'll get back to that. Part of this transitor move that we're doing, and that I am putting in a remote control system that requires internet connectivity, which I don't have yet at the site. I'm putting it in later this month. So what do I do until then? I've got to have internet. Pull out the Max Connect and we're good to go. So yeah, I use them all over the place. They are so great. I mean, it's just like a multi-tool. You can get so much done with those.
Yep. Max Connect Wireless. Check them out on the web at maxconnect.com. I know it's spelled funny, MAXXKONNECT.com. You can choose your carrier or even two carriers because they have dual carrier models. AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon. They even have options in Canada. If you are up there in the land of the poutine in Canada, they will help you out. Chris, thanks a lot for your help, and we're going to get back to your story in just a minute. I want to bring in and introduce you to Blake Thompson. Blake, how you doing?
Good to be here, Kirk.
You just got done checking somebody out from top to bottom.
I did a nice inspection here today, and I'm happy to say that they passed easily, so that's always good.
Well, talk to me about putting this show together. What's your role in putting this? I can't hardly say it. Multimedia broadcast.
Ohio Multimedia and Broadcast Engineering Conference, OBMT. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Bunch of letters just grumbled together. I've been the program chair since it started in how long ago? 2013. Okay. It's been since it started when we had it all in one room. So the OAB contacted me because I was the local SBE chair. And I said, sure, I'd be happy to help out. So I've been program chair since then, and we get together with a group of guys and try to figure out what's going to be good this year. What are we interested in? What do we want to see? What do we want to learn about? And go from there.
I appreciate just on a personal level, you guys asking me to present something. I guess every year,
almost
for a while,
yeah.
And I try to come back with something worthwhile that people want to know about. We've had some standing room only sessions.
Yeah.
We've got a great session tomorrow, and I'm not the focus. My former colleague and friend Sean Dolan is going to be helping out with this session on SIP telephony.
Right. And I'm real interested in that myself because everybody's getting SIP stuff. I've got a new system coming in at one of my stations and got to figure out how to interface. And I want to do it right.
10 years ago, I was talking to people about SIP. People were buying the Telos VX system, and it took a lot of talking about SIP, and people didn't know anything about it. These days, half the engineers I talk to say, oh, yeah, we already know all about SIP. We got it. And they'll say the right words and like, okay, you guys got that covered.
Yeah. It's amazing how fast it's come about.
Yeah.
But it's also, we're getting features with that we couldn't get on the regular telephony. Better quality, ability to record it on the fly, all kinds of stuff like that.
And the big feature is lower cost.
Well, exactly. That's I still was at a station not too long ago that still had a dedicated line for their remote control, a dedicated 5K line.
By the way, I have a suggestion for next year's technical program.
Okay,
here's the suggestion. You get Chris Tarr to do everything because he knows everything.
I have watched Chris.
Just have him talk.
Good.
He can talk all day long.
I've heard him before. Yeah, that's a good. Anytime he's welcome to come. We'd be happy to have him.
All right, Chris, you know what you're doing next year.
Yeah, it sounds like you're volunteering me to do some stuff there.
Yeah, we want to have you. We'd be happy to have you there.
Blake, thank you so much for taking a few minutes with us. I really appreciate it. Anything else you want to say before you go?
Keep your stations clean.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. Do it right, because that's otherwise you're going to pay the penalty.
Otherwise, you've got paperwork to do,
and
they've got fixing to do.
ABIPs are a good insurance, is the way we talk about.
Yeah.
It's lower than any fine you'll get. So.
All right.
All right.
Thanks so much, Blake.
Thanks, Kurt.
Take care.
I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, Chris Tarr, you are regaling us with your story, and please continue from where you left off.
Okie dokie. So we get the transmitter back, and now it's time to, what are we going to do with it? I got it on the truck. We've got it here. So, fortunately, the rest of this actually went really smoothly. We arranged to have some people help us move up at the site where it was going. On the air, or this was going to replace BE FM 10, which I had already kind of shut down, and we were running on a HT 10, which is the backup. So we get it up there, and we get the 10B moved. We get the new solid state transmitter in, get it all plumbed in and ready to go. And we find that one of the power supplies is bad, which is fine. A couple $1,000, and for the price we got, totally fine with that. And, they hadn't had it on for years, so I wouldn't expect them to remember or know if it was bad or not. But I got it on the air, pretty much that day, fired right up, and life was good. So I've gone back now, and I've gotten the, power supply switched out, and got everything ready. Because the other part to this is this is a really important station for our group. This is a huge signal, creates a lot of revenue. So we're always on the lookout for opportunities to buy transmitters, just to have them or for parts or whatever. But I managed to find, again, in the used market, an HT10 for, I want to say it was like $2,500. For an HT10, those are great rigs, and we already had one in that building as a backup. So now I brought another one in, and we have two rather. So now we have 3 transmitters in that building. We've got the solid state one, which is the main. Then I've got a newer HT10, which is backup number 1, and a little bit older HT10, which is backup number 2. So we've got all that set, but I still have the truck. So I was talking to Dave, and we were wanting to, since we had this truck, to kind of move some things around and get all this space, because there was a lot of space in this vehicle. I'm like, Dave, I gotta get out of this truck. I can't drive this for another day. I mean, this thing is it's going to be the death of me. I'm gonna run somebody over, or I'm gonna, I'm going to get an accident or something. So we did make one run. We loaded some stuff that we had in the building up there that we didn't really need, and ran it down to our Fort Atkinson storage area and unloaded that, and then took the truck back and happily handed the keys back over to them, and the trip was done. So there you go.
Yeah. Wow. What would you do anything different? Would you do anything different with the rental truck, or would you do anything different about picking up the transmitter, or would you make any more prior arrangements than, the nice people in Colby, Kansas helped you to do?
Yeah. I mean, it's, when you're doing something like this is like the 3rd or 4th transmitter that I've had shipped. Typically, it really, each situation is its own thing, because it kind of depends on the type of transmitter, where it's located. In the case of I bought one from Reno, Nevada, and one from I bought another one, the HT10 from Memphis, actually. And in both of those situations, it was pretty easy, because it was just a transmitter. And I find that really the hardest part is getting it packaged for transport, because not many people deal with transmitters and shipping, so it's kind of hard to make that work. And I finally found a shipper that, at least in Memphis, was great. There was a local guy, a shipping company, that handled everything. Now in Reno, I had to have 2 different companies handle it, but generally there's the packing and then there's the shipping. Those are the 2 things you've got to work out. And typically I found that with shipping, the less than load people, that's just the way to go. It's really inexpensive, and they'll basically, you can set it up and have local delivery with a lift gate, all kinds of stuff. The packing is often, and the moving is a little bit harder because you generally have to have the transmitter packed up and ready for the truck to pick up. So, you can try a moving company. There's also movers that do heavy machinery moving, and that's usually who I reach out to. But generally, we're dealing with other engineers, and every person that I've dealt with on one of these projects has been absolutely fantastic about arranging for local people and helping out wherever they can, because they know the people around there, and we're all in the same boat, so they get it. So they've all been very, very helpful. And then I just have a really good crew on my end that I use for these things that will just show up when I need them to show up and unload. So, I mean, there's some planning involved, but it's actually a lot less expensive. And again, I totally would have done this with the Kansas project had it not been for the fact that we decided to pick up the transmission line and the antenna as well. I would have totally just had a truck go out there and pick it up and bring it out this way, but couldn't have done it this time. And so would I have done anything different? I don't know that I could have. We talked about flying somebody out and getting a truck, and that would have been possible. We just didn't have anybody available to do it. So, that would probably be the only thing is I would say, hey, fly to Denver, get a truck, as you're driving back, stop in Colby, get this, and then come home. Would have probably been the only other way. Because, gas expenses, I mean, it was pretty expensive for gas. The whole project was a couple $1,000. But in the grand scheme of things, to get a really nice solid state transmitter at the price we did, still completely worth it. Can't hear you.
I should be good.
Yep.
Hello. Got me now?
Yep.
Hey, so one time I made a real mistake in transporting a 3-bay FM antenna. I had, and it was mine. I had a trailer, a dual axle trailer on the back of my Toyota 4Runner or something, whatever I was driving at the time. And I put this 3-bay antenna, and it was partially taken apart. I think a couple of the bays had interbay line, and then there was some other line that went in the back of the trailer. Anyway, the bottom line was I didn't really pad the transmission line, the interbay lines or the bays themselves. I didn't pad them. They pretty well sat on the wooden floor of the trailer. And after I drove all the way from East Kentucky to West Central Mississippi with that, got there and I realized that those antenna bays had rubbed on the floor of the trailer enough where it actually rubbed a couple holes in the bays. What a terrible, stupid mistake on my part. I should have somehow protected the part of the bays that was touching the floor, protected that from rubbing. I didn't think that, the wood would rub a hole in the metal, but it sure did. You got any ideas about that and warning people about, hey, if you're going to travel something, remember, it may sit there and rub and jostle and friction, for hundreds and hundreds of miles.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, you'll see you buy a transmitter, you see the guy pull up with the little, the little trailer in back of the pickup truck, and you just slap it on there and go. And, these things cost money. And even if they're used, you treat them like they should be. And I always recommend, at the very least, before you pick it up, having it professionally packed. And, what they'll do is, they'll put the cardboard corners on them and wrap them up and, make sure that at least, there's nothing exposed on there. And then obviously in transport, make sure stuff isn't, whipping around. I took the bays and I laid them. I rented along with the truck, a bunch of the blankets, that they have, the quilts.
Oh, yeah.
Laid those on the ground.
Yep.
And set the antenna bays on that, and then strap those to the side of the truck so that they don't bounce. Same thing, ratchet strap the transmitter to the back of the truck and that sort of thing. So, use care. It costs a little bit more to do it that way, but it's, I've done 3 of these now, and every single one that I've gotten has come off the truck perfectly fine and ready to go. I mean, on the air that same day generally. So,
wow.
You save yourself a lot of hassle. Again, the packing is the big thing. Don't, have a company. There are companies all over that do it. They'll come out and, they'll have everything packaged. They'll put it on a pallet if you want and have it all ready to go.
And, if you do it right, you get to use that phrase that all of us dads love to say before we slam the door shut and get in the truck and start driving, and that is, "There, that ain't going anywhere."
That's right. That's my favorite line when I do this stuff. That ain't going anywhere. And it didn't.
Hey, Chris, it's a great story. Thank you for all that. We're going to be back with a tip of the week. I've got a tip of the week here from my friend Cam Eicher, and maybe you'll have a tip as well. We're going to right now hear from our friends at Vox Pro and BGS. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's happening? St. John here, coming to you from Command Central, and wanted to tell you about the absolute best partner you can have in radio. I'm talking about, boom, Wheatstone's Vox Pro. Lots of different audio software out there. Why Vox Pro? It's the only software designed to do what we needed to do, which is record, edit, playback in real time. When I say lightning fast, I'm going to show you how fast you can edit stuff up in Vox Pro right now. So literally 3 clicks on the controller, mark left, mark right, everything that gets marked, you hit delete, it goes away. It's literally that fast. So we're going to take this part right here. Boom. From caller 9 to him saying, I'm ready.
Ready for that secret sound.
Boom. All of that stuff, hit delete, it goes away. Here's your edit.
You are tackling secret sound caller 9. I'm ready, St. John.
So one of the best features of version 7, this is awesome. It's effects macros, and you can literally put a chain of effects together so that instead of having to normalize a phone bit and then use noise reduction on it and EQ it and all that, you can literally build a chain. One button, this one's called call right here. I just click that. All of those processes happen instantaneously. Final thing that I love about Vox Pro, and there's so much more to get into, but one of my favorite things, you can load it on a laptop. I've literally done my show from a hotel room in Armenia to the conference room at, this was fun, jury duty. Great thing, no one could tell the difference. Vox Pro makes it totally easy. Telling you, if you're looking for the best on-air partner, call my friends at Wheatstone, ask them about Vox Pro, and you will be glad you did.
And Broadcasters General Store is where you can get Vox Pro. Call my friends at Broadcasters General Store at 352-622-7700 or go to their website at bgs.cc. Broadcasters General Store, they have all the broadcasting items that you need, and they are good, good folks. Love them. Thanks, BGS, for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. All right, let me see if I can do-si-do a bit here, and Cam's going to slide in here if I can. Cam, let's see. How about you? I don't know. I'm no good at these camera angles. There we go. How about that? No. There we go. Sorry, folks.
This is the start.
Well, yeah, that's
a whole nother story, right?
So, this is the
Quasar console from Telos Alliance that we are showing. It actually debuted, a fun fact, at the Ohio Broadcast Show three years ago. Yeah, 2019. Yeah. So we're bringing it back again, and excited to be here.
This is, folks, I don't know what to do about this. This is the thing. What's this panel?
So this is our enhanced on-off cough panel. So you get the nice little on-off cough.
Heck of an on-off cough panel, right?
Hey, we're taking it up. We're taking it up to 11 here at Telos. And this one actually has a fader built in, so you can actually use this in a couple of different modes as an on-off cough panel, or actually as a single fader module if I wanted to control an automation system source or a jingle player. It can be a single fader that you connect to your console and just mount on the countertop.
A lot of folks around the factory, can y'all see that icon there if I bend it just right? You can see there's a picture on that.
I don't know, the white of the hair blends in with the white of the background, so I really can't tell.
I hear Chris talk. Chris, I'm sorry I don't have you turned up loud enough. I'm going to turn you up in a second. But yeah, people love to use the mute button on that. Yeah.
The picture, if you can't see it, and Kirk paid me $20 to put his picture on.
Right. Chris,
I'm paying up afterwards.
Chris Tar, I cranked it up. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said before. You'd say it again.
Oh, all I said was the white of your hair blended in with the white of the background of that switch. So I really couldn't tell who that was.
Exactly. Hey, since there's hardly room in the shot for both of us, I'm going to hand the camera to Cam, the mic to Cam. Good God.
This talkie thing.
You make me nervous. It's my boss. Folks. I gotta be good. What's your tip of the week for folks? You had a good idea for engineers.
Tip of the week. So we're here in Columbus, Ohio, right in the smack dab middle of Ohio. And what my tip is for you folks out there, come to the show. there's a lot of these local conferences that happen on smaller scales, medium scales, even some a bit larger. They could be in your hometown. They could be just a couple hours away. There's great value in not only connecting with people, but seeing what they have to offer, getting a taste of something that's not in the whole NAB craziness of the Las Vegas trade show. We're 3 hours away or less from a whole lot of cities: Detroit, Pittsburgh, Louisville, Lexington, Indianapolis, not to mention all the cities in Ohio where we're in the middle of. So take some time off, come grab a long lunch. If you're in Columbus, make sure you stop by. Even if you're in Fort Wayne or, again, Cleveland, we're only a couple hours away. You'd be amazed at the friends you can make or the friends you can reconnect with, the things you can learn, and the products you can see. So you'd be surprised. And if there's one near you, either this one or a future one, really do yourself a favor and don't miss it. It's a lot of fun.
And part of what you're saying is that trade shows are back. We went through COVID, and people stayed home, as a lot of them should have. But we're back.
They're coming back, absolutely. So it's a question of comfort. So if you're not ready to come back to a trade show, then everybody, of course, respects that. But if you are ready to come back, vendors are coming back, customers are coming back. We'll have some food this afternoon. You might even get, I'm handing this back to you, Kirk.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
You might even get the brand new 2022 edition of the this year's Telos Alliance t-shirt.
Broadcast without limits.
So there's fun stuff to do, and really it's all about whether or not you feel comfortable in this environment. COVID's not necessarily gone, but there's folks that are ready to go back out again and meet folks and see folks. And if you're one of those, we're ready for you.
I understand that the New York show was a pretty big smash. A lot of people attending that.
It was. Now, I personally wasn't there, but I got a picture sent to me of a line going outside around the Javits Center because there was something like 1,500 people that didn't register in advance, but still decided to come to the show and come day of, and there was a little bit of a line there.
So Chris Tarr has a tip of the week as well, I hope. Chris, what you got for us, dude?
No, my tip of the week goes along with my travels, and that is my tip is to plan when doing projects like this. My coworker Dave was so impressed with how, other than the road rager, how all of this really fell into place. I mean, by Sunday afternoon I picked up a truck. By Wednesday we had a new transmitter on the air. But I mean, it really did require a lot of planning, from setting up people on on the Kansas side, setting up people on this side, getting the right truck. None of this was just left at the last minute. I had plan after plan after plan. I had arrangements with everybody involved. And, this is one of those things where a lot of people kind of wing it and hope for the best. And those are the results you get when you wing it. Is, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. This was a very successful trip, all things considered. And the reason was we put a lot of planning into it. So, if maybe you look at some project management software, use a to-do list, whatever it is, but sit down and when you do these things, plan it out, come up with a plan, stick to the plan, and, it'll go well every time.
And Chris, if this engineering thing doesn't work out for you real well, you do have a career in over-the-road trucking.
I don't know that I'd want to, however.
I know it's not for everybody.
I think I'd be more like an Uber driver than an over-the-road trucker, I think.
There you go. Hey, I'll pick up your transmitter and take it wherever you want. It's
There you
Uber
go.
for transmitter. That's
At
right.
least it wasn't ice road trucking, right?
Oh gosh. Oh man. Wouldn't that be something if you did this in like February?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh.
Scooting across that frozen lake.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, we're gonna go. Cam, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Appreciate being here.
Thanks for letting TWiRT have some room in the Telos booth too.
That's okay. You guys will get the bill.
Okay. Chris Tarr, thank you for joining us. Suncast, thank you for switching the show. We'll see you next week on This Week in Radio Tech.